This is the award-winning Lee Pitts Live.
Brought to you by the North Law Firm. For car accidents and negligent security cases, call Joe at 239-337-1191. By Crime Stoppers of Southwest Florida. Report crimes and get paid with nobody knowing your identity. 1-800-700-TIPS. And by Lee Health.
Hello and welcome to Arise to Your Health on Lee Pitts Live. And I'm your host, Yajaida, Vasquez, nurse practitioner from Suncoast Medical Centers. And as always, we come on the show to just bring some information about health and empowering all of our clients and patients on how to have a better lifestyle and just live a healthy life. And today is no different. The only difference today is that I do have a guest today on the show. And I want to talk to you a little bit about, because I always do that, just bring it a little bit home, about why I have this guest today. A few years ago, I had a car accident, and even though I am a healthcare professional and I thought I can just go to my friends to take care of what I needed, or I could take care of it myself, I was in for an education about how all of these things evolve in taking care of a car accident. There's just so many different components besides your health. That is, of course, the priority. We always want to make sure that you're healthy after having an accident and that you do okay and not have any long-term effects from it. But there's also other players that have to come into this to make sure that you have a better outcome. So just like when you have some type of disease that we send you to a specialist, say a urologist or endocrinologist or something like that, well, the same thing happens here. We need to sometimes collaborate with other specialists in other areas to make sure that we take good care of you. And this is no exception. And we definitely here needed more education in this, because I see a lot of patients at Suncoast Medical for what we call PI cases, where personal injury cases, car accidents and such. And a lot of people have a lot of questions and go to the wrong places, unfortunately, and don't get the medical care that they need. And also, the law that has to be involved in that as well. We always encourage our clients to seek some advice from an attorney, and especially someone that knows these cases really well. So again, by collaborating and coming together, we can get a better outcome for you. And so without further ado, I'm going to present to you our guest today. He's been practicing law for 30 years in our community and is well versed in this area. So I know that he's going to help me in bringing out all of these this great information to all of our clients. So let's welcome Mr. Joe North. Let's bump our mugs here, as it is tradition on the show.
Well, thank you. Thank
How
you
are
very
you
much.
today?
I'm doing great, doctor, and I always call you doctor. But yeah, everything's coming along great for me. Thank you.
Well, it's such a great pleasure to have you here on the show today. And as a colleague, we work together in so many cases, and I just wanted to, again, inform the community on what they need to know about when they get involved into a car accident. But before we get into that, so that we can establish, anyway, I said that you've been doing this for 30 years, but establish a little bit in a way that they can understand, what kind of cases do you take care of?
Well, thank you. And again, I consider myself a personal injury lawyer. And what that means is, on a day-to-day basis, I'm helping people who, like what you went through a few years ago, navigate their way through having a personal injury case. That means getting to the right doctor and then documenting all the injuries so that I can present a claim to the insurance company to get compensation for all of the things that the client is going through.
Right, and so when they come over to you, say they make a phone call because they're seeking an attorney, what kind of advice do you give them besides the law information that you give them on how these cases are handled? What do you tell them about, as far as medical, what do they need? What kind of advice do you give them at that point?
Well, there are two things that they need to do early on. One is take photographs of the scene, of their property damage, of their injuries, because that can be used as evidence later on down the road. But then the second thing is get to a doctor right away. And that's for two reasons. One, you need to get better from these injuries. But two, the law requires you to get medical treatment within the first 14 days after an accident, because if you don't get it within the first 14 days, then the amount of insurance that's available to you is drastically limited, and we don't want that for you.
Right. Is it important that they go to a certain specific kind of doctor to treat these particular injuries?
Yes, it has to be a doctor who can establish what's called a true emergency medical condition. So now, chiropractors can provide a very valuable form of treatment, But that cannot be the only treatment that you get within the first 14 days. It has to be in a medical office. And that's one of the things that I like about Suncoast Medical, because you guys provide pretty much everything that the clients need during their first 14 days and really beyond.
Yes, and so when they go to, what do you expect in that collaboration with that doctor's office? So tell them how important it is, you know, besides, of course, getting their medical care. How does that bring some information that's valuable to the case and to you in the long end of that?
Because my client can all day talk about what the back pain feels like. I can even make that argument for the client. But in a court of law, we need medical documentation. And we need more than my client talking about it or me talking about it. We need you in your office documenting it in medical records and with diagnostic testing so that we can prove to the insurance company and then ultimately in a court of law what the injuries are.
That's right. And one of the questions that we get asked a lot is about the time frame. You know, like, is it important to just come a few months? Is it a 3-week thing? So is that, I know that in your case, like you said, it's important to establish that emergency condition and establish that case. So is time of an issue here, or is it more important that they just, you know, follow through the doctor recommendations per se?
Well, there's a short-term and long-term answer to that. So first, yes, you have to get treatment within the first 14 days. But then after that, you have to go and follow the doctor's recommendations because they have mapped out for you what you need to get better from these injuries, but also to document the injuries long-term for the insurance company. And I know that no one wants to live in a doctor's office. We all have lives that we've got to take care of, but you got to take care of yourself in terms of this case because you didn't ask for this case to happen. It happened to you, and now you got to do what you can do and follow the doctor's recommendations.
Correct. And see, on our end, you know, like, again, we want to make sure that they're so healthy that they, you know, that there's no long-term effects, you know, to them, that they, you know, some people later on, 30 years later, are still complaining of a back pain that was not properly taken care of. And so in the case for you, you know, having the proper documentation, again, how does that make the case better for you, like in order for you to defend them and in law, in the court law properly?
Because one of the things that insurance companies like to look at is, well, they didn't follow up with treatment. So maybe the injuries are not permanent as we claim them to be. Something else is what we call mediating your injury, meaning that you have a duty to make your own self better. And if a doctor is telling you, okay, you need to come see us once a week or once every other week, and you fail to do that, then you're not making your own self better. So you have to go and follow the doctor's recommendations. Have you or a loved one been injured in an accident? Have you been injured because of someone else's fault? I am attorney Joe North, and I've been handling injury cases for over 25 years. If you've got questions about compensation for pain and suffering, or medical bills, or lost wages, then give me a call. Joe North, 239-337-1191.
But you do take care of other type of injuries too, right? In your law office as well. So you take care of some other negligent type of cases here too.
Yes. So what we've been talking about is primarily the car accident cases.
Right.
But the other type of personal injury case is what I call negligent security. And what that is, in layman's terms, is if someone gets hurt at an apartment complex or a nightclub, such as being stabbed or shot or assaulted, and that could have been prevented had there been better security, then they've got a negligent security case. And I help people with those all the time.
Okay, and are those very different than the personal injury cases that are due to an auto accident? How are those differently medically or even, you know, law for you?
Well, the big difference, I would say, is the mental and psychological standpoint of it, because I always tell people there is no trauma like a gunshot trauma. The physical injuries can heal to a certain degree, but the mental, the psychological injuries last a lifetime. And that's what's so difficult to get past. And it really can be devastating for a lot of people.
Yes, and we don't realize that, you know, we see that a lot too, just in the medical portion, that, people don't understand how they still can be so affected mentally by, something like this. So, so it's very important, again, that they come and call an attorney and make sure that they get routed to the right place, because they're treated a little differently and need certain specialists, like I said, to treat those kinds of things. Any other recommendations that you have for someone that just had a car accident besides getting care within the first 14 days? Anything else that you think is important that they know?
Well, I would say, do not sign any releases without speaking with my office or some attorney first, because the insurance companies are glad to come out to their homes and get them to sign off on a release, waiving any claim in the future for just a small amount of money. And they'll do much better if they seek out an attorney first.
That's right. And it's important that you brought that up, because I had that problem myself. Even though, again, I'm in the business, I was getting phone calls all day and all night, even from my own insurance. And I thought those guys were on my side.
Right.
And in reality, they were not on my side. So I needed to get, an attorney involved. And a lot of people feel that when they get an attorney, they're suing somebody. But we're really not doing that, right? We're really just getting the right people on the team to help us get through the process, right? They're just doing that with the insurance company. So it's important that we do that. So thank you for all that valuable information that you brought to the table. I just love speaking with you. And I have one more question, if you don't mind me asking, because I know you've been practicing law for so long, and my passion is medicine. And when people ask me about why I do what I do, I just light up, and I wanted to see that same look on your face.
Okay.
So tell me, in practicing all of this, what is the best thing for you that when you're helping someone that just had an accident, or whatever area that you like in these 30 years, what's the most that you enjoy?
Well, I guess two things, and they sort of go hand in hand, and that is getting justice for the client. Because, without that legal representation, they wouldn't be able to navigate the legal system without getting proper justice. So when I'm able to bring that to a client, I get a lot of satisfaction from that. And along those lines, the most fun that I have is actually going to court trying cases, because then you get to see everything come together and you get that result for the client.
Awesome answer. Love that. And I saw that light. So wonderful. So thank you so much, Mr. North, for spending this time with us here at Arise to Your Health. And I hope to have you here soon, because there's so many questions I know that people are going to have. And, they can come on to Suncoast Medical website or your website. I know that you have on Facebook and on social media all these little videos and things that show people what they need to do, and I'm just a fan of all of those. So I know that they can come to your website and mine, and if they have any questions. So let's bump our mugs here again just to say goodbye, and thank you again for coming. Thank you. This is all the time we have for Rise to Your Health with Yajaida Vasquez on Lee Pitts Live. And now see you next week then on Lee Pitts Live again.
Lee Pitts Live is a Lee Pitts Enterprise production.
Hello, everybody. This is Lee Pitts, the host of the award-winning Lee Pitts Live here on Fox 4. We appreciate you watching our show here on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, clicking below. Let everybody else know that they can subscribe as well. Also, when we're on the air on Fox 4, you can also catch us streaming live at 8:30 a.m. in the morning on fox4now.com. Just click on live, and you get us all types of ways at your convenience. That's Lee Pitts Live.